Finding life a bit complex? Confusing? Aware that your old strategies aren't working? Why not ask Pam and Marilyn? This is the Irreverent Therapists, and we're here to add some clarity, humor, and a bit of what might be considered blasphemy to your day.
Everyone, and welcome to the Irreverent Therapists. I'm Marilyn Bradford, and I'm joined by Pam Hodling from Los Alamos, New Mexico.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Marilyn.
Hi, Pam. It's funny, we're only separated by 45-minute drive.
I love it.
And I made that drive yesterday, and I have to tell you guys, if you haven't been to New Mexico, northern New Mexico, it's just friggin' gorgeous here. The land is amazing. So I'm not sure why I'm putting that in there, except that the land is amazing. And the land is a contribution. Okay, and one of the things, all right, I'm doing a total asidum here, is that we haven't, in fact, Pam, we should do a call on the show on the land. Yes. Because we tend to think of ourselves as separate from the land and the planet. And if we're doing anything, we're either trashing it or we're saving it. But we really have not ever talked about the communion with the land and with the earth. So anyway, that just came to my pea brain. And
I just made a note.
All right. It's not what we're doing today.
Light up.
Although we're doing something that scampers about on the land. Today's show is called, Are You Willing to Be the Mouse That Roared? Are you really as small and limited as you pretend to be? Did you fork over your power long ago when parents or teachers or religious leaders told you that you couldn't be as great and wonderful as you actually are? Your only mistake was in believing them. What if you acknowledged the you that you've denied for so long? What if you dropped those artificial barriers and stepped out of the lemming suit and never suited you in the first place? How much fun could it be to be the mouse that roared? I love it. So I wrote that description, and then when I was reading it just now, I remembered partially why I talked about the lemmings. And for those of you who are not from America, I don't think this is a worldwide thing, but there's at least a myth, it may or may not be true, that lemmings, and they're small mammals, something like hamsters or rats with no tails or whatever, that they sort of get together and they just follow each other, and they're so stupid and they never ask questions that if one goes over the cliff, all the others will follow them and go over the cliff. And a few years ago, I had a dream. You had a dream?
I did not know you had a dream.
I had a dream. And in the dream, I was a lemming, and I was running with the lemmings, headed probably towards disaster over the cliff. And there was this sort of big boulder that came up. And instead of going with the lemmings, I crawled up on the boulder, and I stood on my hind lemming legs, and I unzipped my lemming suit.
Cool.
And underneath it, I've never told you this. Underneath it was this incredible, it was sort of this Japanese, brilliant, brightly colored kimono. And I just stepped out of my lemming suit and walked away. And so how many of you are actually zipped up in a lemming suit that you actually believe that is who you are? And everything that is, can we destroy and create it times a godzillion?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, online shorts, boys and beyonds. Yeah, we could have called it, Are You Willing to Be the Lemming That Roared? But it wouldn't have quite the same effect.
It wouldn't have the same thing. Well, so when you're talking about lemmings, it's like, everywhere that you're going along with the herd, that you don't want to be different, that you feel like you don't have any choice other than what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And how much of the time are we actually shepherded into that role? We talk a lot about, not wanting to be different, but I think it's more than that. There's so much pressure to conform, and there's so much, in a lot of ways, for people, punishment for not conforming, whether it's isolation, ridicule, humiliation, rejection, exclusion. There's an awful lot of sanctions against people, and including kids, little kids, who don't conform, that I think, it just adds to the sense that we have to be a nobody and just follow the crowd and actually not be who we are.
Well, and what it makes me think of is I have several friends who are teachers of, like elementary school, and and they talk about like so much of their time is spent in classroom management, not teaching.
Yes.
And it's getting everyone to sit together, and like it's basically programming kids how to behave in a group. How
to be socialized.
How to socialize, into the culture of the school, which actually makes me really want to make a plug for the Access Possibility School.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So Marilyn and I are Access Consciousness facilitators, and some friends of ours are creating a school. It's an online school called Access Possibility School, and it's the exact opposite of what we're talking about, where kids are able to just be themselves and not have to fit in any way, whether they have special learning requirements or, just a different way of looking at the world. The school adapts to them rather than the other way around.
And it's accredited.
Yes.
They went to many links for that. So it is accredited. So you're not going to put your kid in some school and then find out that they have to repeat the first 6 grades of their life or something.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So anyway, that was we're doing lots of little asides.
We are doing lots of little asides today.
Well, I was someone who did not fit in well in normal school.
I can't imagine, Pam.
I think I was in 9th grade when I stopped going to school. And
you stopped going to school? How did you manage that?
Well, I was very creative at that time in my life.
You are very creative.
This was not cognitive, but I developed a cough, and I coughed for a year, and that cough kept me out of school, and I had tutors at home. And then
I love it. One of the great things about the show is just finding out things about each other.
I know. The next year, I went to 10th grade. I think I lasted 6 weeks. And then I was like, this is not working for me. And I managed to create another similar situation where I didn't have to go to school. And then for 11th and 12th grade, I basically said to my dad, like, if you can find me a school that's different than this, I will go. And he found me the most amazing school. It had like 50 students and 6 teachers, and it was a total humanoid school. And I had a great time. It's like I changed from being this victim kid to being really empowered and being a leader in the school and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So that was what introduced me to the idea that you don't have to go along with everybody else.
That's very cool. Well, and one of the things that I want to point out from that is being the mouse that roared doesn't necessarily mean you have to cause a big to-do. Yeah. It can just be, you know what, this isn't working for me. It's really about acknowledging to yourself that this isn't working for you. You're not wrong for it not working for you, and you're going to find a way. The roar is finding a way in whatever the situation is, like you did with school. That does work.
Yeah, because, it's like as a kid, I couldn't like go out and find a school and pay for it.
Right.
It's like, hey, you're kind of at the mercy of the adults around you in a way. Like,
yes.
Like you are. But, I love it that you said being the mouse that roared doesn't mean you have to like make a big stink about everything. It was just, I absolutely, when I look back on it, I absolutely knew this world does not work for me, and I am so not playing this game. And I didn't know how to do something different.
Right.
And my body manufactured it. My body's like, we are so not doing this anymore. And then I started, learning some tools and other ways of communicating. It didn't have to come through my body. And, and I started being able to talk more with my parents about what worked and what didn't. And we just gradually changed things. But yeah, if I look at the energy of me as a kid, it's not this big, acting. I was so the good kid. I was not someone acting out and being
right
in the neck. But there was no stopping me. I was not going to do what wasn't going to work for me.
I like that there was no stopping you. And when you were talking and we're looking at this thing, if you don't have to be make a big to-do, I started thinking about people like Martin Luther King Jr. and Nelson Mandela and Gandhi and people who've changed the world by simply being the energy of this isn't going to be happening.
Right.
You know what? I'm sorry. It's not happening. And they created it in so many different ways. I mean, if you think about sit-ins and this is more, once again, we're diverging a bit because this is more sort of group kinds of things in the individual. But just looking at the strategies they chose, sit-ins and
strikes.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole, in the movie Gandhi, I cannot remember the exact scene, except that there was some place that Indians were not allowed. And if they came up and tried to move in, the British guards had to, knock them down. But they just got this wave of hundreds of people. And the British guards would knock down the 3 that came, to the ground, and then the next 3 would show up and they'd knock them down. And after a while, they looked really bad. So it was a way of drawing attention to things. So there's so many ways to be the mouse that roared. And the mouse comes from not who you actually are, but who this culture or society has decided you are. Mm-hmm. If you are in West Texas and a male in high school and you don't play football, in fact, you're a dweeb, or what do they call them? A geek. You're going to be in trouble. Doesn't mean, actually, I'm looking at this. We're coming up to a break. So when we get back, we'll talk more about the mouse that roared and what's possible.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness and action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Live with medium Lisa Phoenix, Mediumship Messages and Musings, explores mediumship and all things metaphysical. Lisa Phoenix invites you to reach above and beyond your everyday experiences, to explore new dimensions in the spirit world. She will do live readings to connect callers to their loved ones in spirit, shares engaging stories and teachings from her own personal experience, and will have intriguing conversations with other mediums, spiritual teachers, and healers to help you understand the metaphysical world so you can connect to these forces in your day-to-day life. Join your host on this magical and metaphysical journey into the world of spirit every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is Marilyn Bradford and Pam Hodling, and we are the mice that roared.
You better believe it.
So right before we went to break, I was talking about the geek who happens to live in West Texas. And I know I'm generalizing here, but hey, you been to West Texas? The biggest event in small town West Texas is the Friday night high school football game. And that's the way to be, I don't even know what to call it, popular, good, all those kinds of things.
To be one of the lemmings.
Yes, actually, now that's an interesting twist. What if the lemmings were actually the people who appeared most powerful and popular? Mm-hmm. Ooh la la. And everything that doesn't allow you to have clarity and ease with that, would you destroy and uncreate it times a godzillion?
Yes. Right,
wrong, good, bad, pot, online shorts, boys, and beyond. Because actually, that's often the case. Whether it's, I'm going to rise and how many people, this is interesting. Just look at the energy. How many people in the political arena today, and it's very up in America, because we have a presidential first nomination and election coming up, how many of them in many ways are just lemmings? I mean, people criticize the politicians for not being honest, and they're not, any of them. They promise stuff and they don't deliver. But how much of that is that they're just trying to fit in and win what they've been told is the game? And, wow.
Yeah, well, how much of life is fitting into what you've been told is the way to win the game?
Right.
I mean, you've just now you brought up like sports in high school and you've brought up politics, even stuff like, well, what you do, the thing to do is be heterosexual, get married, have kids, like all of that.
Yes.
It's all what the society is saying, this is what is good and what's the normal route and what you should be and do. And any of that is lemmings.
Yes, it is actually, particularly if you don't question it. Now, if you happen to live in East or West Texas and you're really good at football and you like it and you know that it's a joke in a way, that's the wrong term. But anyway,
don't take it seriously.
You don't take it seriously. That's different. I mean, I remember I was actually a cheerleader in high school, co-captain, but I knew it was absurd or I knew it was just fun.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to one of the other cheerleaders, because we were blue and white, and Trenton, which was the blue collar town 20 or 30 miles south of us, they were red and black, and we had football games with Trenton. I remember saying, you do get, don't you, that if we just had happened to be born 30 miles to the south, we'd be wearing red and black and cheering for Trenton. And she looked at me like I was nuts.
Well, you know what we keep doing all these asides today. What this makes me think of is a book I just read. I can't remember the author, but it was called Big Little Lies. And if you think about like everything you're talking about of like the pressures at school and how important the sports, like all of that, it's all of that, but in kindergarten.
Wow.
It's a mystery. Actually, it's a murder mystery set in this school in kindergarten where it's like all the parents and everything that's so vital to them and important to them. It was very funny.
That is funny. I mean, I know. And we think this stuff is true. And part of it is we're both therapists. So, we'll work with people, with clients. And what I've discovered over the years is that no matter what the childhood was like, whether it was physically violent or very restrictive religiously or sexually, there was sexual abuse, or it was, very wealthy with the idea that you're entitled to everything. No matter what it was, the clients universally believe that what they experienced was normal. Mm-hmm. Because they've not been shown that there are any other possibilities.
Yeah.
Which gets into a sort of an interesting question. I just did a Bars Foundation Level 1 in Albuquerque, which is the Access Beginning Core classes. And this past weekend, one of the participants was asking, well, all those people don't know that they can choose something different. I'm like, well, you're choosing something different. She's like, well, yeah. You grew
I
up in
chose
a
something
hugely
different.
dysfunctional family. So it's a sort of an interesting thing as to, do we have to know that there are other possibilities from the outside in order to choose something different, in order to step out of our lemming suit and be who we are? Or is there something within each of us that actually does know, you know what, wait a minute, this cannot be all there is. I'm not
See,
buying
I
it.
think it's that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because it's like, no, I mean, you can't know how to, no, okay, let me back up. When I was a kid, I didn't know, well, this is possible, this is possible, this is possible. So it wasn't that I saw that and chose it. It was, this cannot be it. If this is it, I'm out of here. I'm dead. This place sucks. There's got to be more possible. So I think it is that, you know, that the knowing that something else is possible and seeking it. I mean, most of the people who live, I mean, if you weren't a seeker, you probably would not listen to us. You would be like running away right now. So, you know, I think everyone listening to us is seeking something. They know something else is possible.
Yeah. And those who can't find it, I mean, I truly believe that a lot of people who get lost in drugs and alcohol or commit suicide are people who know there's something different, but somehow they just can't find it or deal with it or whatever it is, which I think is a great tragedy, but it is what it is.
Well, and see, and right there, it's like, if you know there's got to be more possible, something else is possible, and you don't have to know what it is, if you're just willing to keep asking about it.
Yeah.
You know, what I realized looking back at my younger life is I was constantly asking the universe, show me something different. There's got to be more. Now, I didn't have those words for it, but that was my life. You know, seeking and trying things and looking at things and changing things and, you know, all towards, there's got to be something greater here. And, you know, now having the access tools, I know actually just ask the question. It's like, what else is possible?
Yeah.
You know, what energy, space, and consciousness can I be that would allow me to create something even greater?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and that's partly why we do those shows, to let you all know that there really is something else that's possible. And if you'll ask questions and you don't give up and you just keep going, eventually something will show up. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, somewhere in what we've been talking about, I wrote myself a note. I don't know that it goes along with what we're talking about right this second. But in the first segment, you know, we were talking about, you know, when you're kind of the way you're living your life, you're saying, hey, something's got to change here. This isn't working for me. So I wanted to bring up, Marilyn, how do you know what does work for you? Because I know when I was a kid, I had no concept of, you know, what does it mean for something to work? I was just always trying to react to, mitigate, manage, you know, work around whatever was being presented to me. I did not feel in any way like I could change things or create what does work for me. And it took a lot of asking to start seeing what would I like? What is something that works for me here?
I think that's a great question. I was working with a client the other day who's not actually access. I still have somewhat of a some people who want more traditional, better adjustment to this reality. It's fine, works for me, works for them. But anyway, he was talking about he's in a job where he sometimes has to deal with people that he just hates, and he does have choice. He can let it go, but he gets hung up on the money and this and that. But anyway, he's like, he basically was asking that same question. Well, how do I know what's fun for me? But he just told me that he'd taken up paddle boarding. He's just having a ball with it. And I'm like, get the energy of paddle boarding. And this is what I would say to people. Get the energy of something that you absolutely love to do. That when you're doing it, you feel so alive and enthusiastic. And it can be anything. I mean, I was looking back at how great I felt facilitating this 5-day in Albuquerque. It's very different for each of us. I said, get that energy. I said, now get the energy of dealing with this client you have. And he's like, and I'm like, okay, here's the thing. Anything that you do should have some of that kind of energy that the paddleboarding has. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be exactly that. And granted, that's a sport, but what you love, what works for you has an energy to it that's expansive and fun and generative. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm alive. I'm having a great time. So, I mean, for back to the geek in West Texas, that may be, programming computers. It doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong for this. And that's what I'd really like to let people know. It's about what actually turns you on. Where do you get enthusiastic? What do you love to do? Get that energy and just become very aware of what that's like for you in your body, and look for that in things. I think that's the best I can do with that one anyway.
Well, I was thinking, I'd actually like to go more into that. And I know we only have like a minute until we go to the break. So why don't you tell people like how they can find out more about us and how they can ask questions, and then we'll...
Why don't you tell people, Pam?
I'll do it. So, everybody, if you would like to find out more about Marilyn and I and the Irreverent Therapists, you can check out our website, theirreverenttherapist.com. You can also email us through that website. We have a Facebook page. If you go to Facebook and just search on the Irreverent Therapists, you'll find us. And we post every week there what we're going to be talking about. And that is also where you can ask us questions. You can just find whatever posts we've made about that particular topic that week and comment in the comments area and ask us questions. We'll address them here on the show. And let's see, there was something else. Oh, I also wanted to tell people you can find the archives of our old shows here on OMTimes. If you just go to our show page, the Irreverent Therapist page, down at the bottom is a couple of different links that take you to ways you can access the archives, download the files, listen to them there on the site. There's lots of options. And
cool. We'll be right back.
The cutting edge of conscious radio, OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Looking for inspiration?
Want to be inspired?
Not sure where to go?
Find Mark and Kim every Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Inspired Living.
Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience and all things spiritual.
Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Marilyn Bradford, and Pam Hodling is here with me, and we are doing our Irreverent Therapist show about being the mouse that roared. So, I can't actually remember what we were talking about.
I do.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Go for it, Pam.
Yeah, no. So right before the break, you were talking about, we were asking how do I know what works for me? And you gave the story of, the guy you were working with, and you said, what's something you love doing? And you get that energy and you bring more of that into your life. So what I wanted to do is talk more about that, because it's like you might be like, well, my job doesn't have that energy, my marriage doesn't have that energy. I'm going to go,
does that energy exist?
My house and, go looking for that energy. It's actually not that hard. You don't have to do a huge upheaval of your whole life. So the way I like to do this, Marilyn, is, and I'll actually just take people through this exercise. It's like, so you can close your eyes and just
see the Skype
imagine waking up to your phenomenal life, to the life that is full of that energy of the things you absolutely love doing, that make you feel alive and expansive, and that there's so many possibilities available to you. So just get that energy. Get the energy of where you're living, what you're doing during the day. You don't have to have any specifics. It's not like, I've got a job at blah, blah, blah. It's just the energy of what is creating that phenomenal life. Who's around you? What's the energy of the food you're eating? The space you're living in. So what you start to do is ask questions about all kinds of areas of your life, and you're looking for anything that has any of this energy, and you choose it. So what would be an example of that? So say I'm looking for a job, and there's these 2 job offers. I can ask myself, so what, if I choose this, if I choose job A, what will my life be like in 5 years? If I don't choose job A, what will my life be like in 5 years? If I choose job B, what will my life be like in 5 years? And if I don't choose job B, what will my life be like in 5 years? Whichever of those has more of that energy of the things you love to do, of the waking up to your phenomenal life, you choose that, because that's what you're creating, is more of that energy of your life in your life with that choice. And, that's an example of a job. That's a big kind of choice. But it can be as little as, where would I like to eat dinner tonight? What clothes would I like to put on today? Every choice, if you start asking questions and looking for the energy that's that more expansive, greater possibilities energy, you start to infuse this energy into your life and have more and more of what's in your life be creating that energy and that space for you.
I love it. That's really awesome. And one of the things that brought up for me, listening to it, was how many people have had it, basically, I don't exactly mean beaten out of them, not physically, but have had it basically erased out of them, that they can actually know what's true for them, that they can actually know what works for them. And I think that's a huge part of becoming the mouse that roared, is that whole business of learning to trust yourself again. Because most of us as kids knew a whole lot of things that our family didn't want us to know. You go, Aunt Sally was having that funny brown drink and she kept falling down all afternoon. Oh, she's fine. Don't worry about that. And you know that there's something going on with Aunt Sally, or how come, Buddy's doing that? He looks at me weird. But so often, or my teacher's mean. I don't think she actually likes her job. Oh, your teacher's a wonderful person. And so we get this sort of knocked out of us. We get basically disempowered by a lot of the authority figures in our lives to know what we know as kids, because they don't know what to do with it if they acknowledge that the teacher's an idiot, or yes, your uncle's a pervert, or whatever it is.
Right. Or even like, oh, we all don't get angry. There's no anger in
Right.
the family.
We
like,
love each other.
No one's yelling, but you can perceive the simmering anger underneath. And yeah, so it's like again and again, our awareness is not just not validated, but countered.
Yes.
Because it doesn't fit in with everybody else, all the lemmings. And so
yeah, one of the participants in the Bars Foundation Level 1 this weekend was talking. He was from a very religious background, Southern. I can't remember if it was Baptist or Pentecostal, something like that. But he said that, his parents would be fighting. They'd be swatting at the kids in the car. They'd pull into the church parking lot and everyone put on their church face and their smile and and it was just this total, we're the perfect family.
Yeah.
And the level of hypocrisy, if you grew up in anything like that, creates this sense of this world is so insane. How can I be and do anything here?
Yeah.
And that part of the trick is that you don't have to actually, I'm trying to find the words here, go against this reality. That generally doesn't do very much. You just sort of step out to the side. It's sort of covert me to begin with.
Yeah.
You create something. I think that cough was brilliant. You create something that fits with what this reality has decided is important or meaningful in order to get what you actually desire.
Mm-hmm. The way I think of it is, they, like if you've done much in science and stuff, they're the idea of like testing rats, and they have rats mazes and, and the rats trying to get from here to there or whatever. It's like, to me, that so much of like what you're describing of the family who's fighting, and they get to church and put on a happy face and pretend and, all of this stuff, it's all that rat maze. It's like we're all like down in this rat maze going, okay, I can't go this way. I can't go that way. I'm stuck here.
Yeah.
If anything you can do to get you up out so that you can see it for what it is, like, say you're 10 feet above it. Oh, wow, it's a rat maze.
It's a rat maze.
There's really no way out of that.
Yeah.
And, I can either be caught down in it with everybody else, or I can be willing to like have my own perspective. Marilyn and I talk about it as having your own reality. It's like you have your own perspective on things, your own way of being in the world. And from there, like you can choose anything because it's like it's all available to you. You're not stuck in the maze.
Yes, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but it doesn't have to be anything that anybody else even sees.
Yeah.
There's this thing in Access, just for me, just for fun, never tell anyone. And particularly while you're sort of getting used to this idea that you could be you and you could be having your own reality and creating it. And in that sense, being the mouse that roared, because who you be is where the roar really is.
Yeah.
And it's fine not to prove it to anyone. It's not to actually have to go, hey, you know what? You guys are wrong. And I'm going to choose for me, which is just going to get you.
Which is actually still the rat maze.
Right, which is actually still the rat maze. Exactly.
Yeah.
What if the mouse can outsmart the rats?
Yes. Well, I wanted to go back to when you were talking about the family fighting and showing up at church, and just that whole how we learn to not trust ourselves, not trust our awareness, and the thing is, it doesn't matter where you're starting from. If you're willing to ask questions, you can start to get more and more awareness of what does work for you. So say you're sitting there right now going, I have no clue what I want. Mm-hmm. I know my life's not working for me, but I don't know what I do want. I don't know what does work for me. I don't know what doesn't work for me. You can just ask, okay, so, universe, show me what works for me. What energy space and consciousness can I be to have greater awareness of what works for me, what doesn't work for me, and what I truly desire to create? Because when you ask questions like that, what happens is you will start having more awareness of, right now, this is what's not working for me. Oh, right here, this is working for me. And it might not come all of a sudden, but the more you start engaging in questions like that, you will start having greater and greater awareness of what does work for you. And I can tell you a secret. So many people don't have any idea what they want or what works for them, that if you do, you can, it's just so easy to get things to go your way. Because you'll be in a group of people and nobody really knows what they want. And you're like, well, hey, this is what works for me. Let's do it this way. And they're like, okay.
You're exactly right, because most people are looking for a leader of the pack. And if you knows what works, I think I'm in New Jersey, what works for you, you can become the leader and you can actually manipulate everybody that way. So I think that's a really awesome point, Pam. Yeah. You can get people to begin to do what you want to do. And the other thing about being the mouse that roared, it's not about creating followers. It's not about creating another movement like the church or whatever it is. It's like you're going to go where you're going to go no matter what anybody else chooses. Mm-hmm. And the willingness to have that, it's huge. One of the things that we talk about in Access is the willingness to lose everyone and everything. And that's a pretty radical statement for a lot of people. But what it really comes down to, you don't necessarily have to lose them, but you have to be willing to, because anyone or anything you're not willing to lose actually owns you and controls you.
Yeah, I think, one way that you can look at that is the willingness to lose is what you were saying about. It's the willingness to go where you're going no matter what, even if everyone else doesn't want to go with you.
Yes.
Because if you're not willing to lose them, you're not going to go where you're going.
Exactly.
You're going to stay with them, stay with the lemmings, because you don't want to lose them. And if you are willing to lose everyone and everything, you actually gain everything.
Yeah.
Like you have everything because you're willing to lose it and you're willing to be you no matter what.
And on that note, we're going to break.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
What if living didn't have to be so serious?
What if you could move beyond your problems with greater confidence and ease than you've ever imagined?
Throw your labels out the window and join the Irreverent Therapists for practical tips and a very different way of approaching the changes you would like to create.
Marilyn Bradford
and Pam Hodeling
have empowered hundreds of people to come out of self-judgment, quit looking to experts, and begin to create the lives they desire.
Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Irreverent Therapist Show.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hey, welcome Welcome back, everyone. I'm Marilyn Bradford with Pam Holding, the Irreverent Therapist, and we're talking about, are you willing to be the mouse that roared? And I think we don't have that much time left, Pam, so I'm wondering...
Just go wherever you were going to go.
All right.
We got time. We got like
time.
10 minutes.
Okay. So one of the things that I've noticed with my clients when we were just talking about are you willing to lose everything is that they have these really fixed identities about who they are. So that when I say that, it's very threatening because it's like, well, but, and there is the connection, like I don't want to lose my kids or this or that. But there's also this, well, I'm a teacher, I'm an engineer, and I'm a good wife or husband, and I'm a mom, and I'm part of the Wiccan community or the church or the, you know, I'm active in the political organization. And I think what I want to say is, one of the things about losing these things is not that you actually have to give them up, but you quit making them significant and you quit making them part of your identity.
Well, and how you define yourself.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I am, that rather than I could be anything, I am everything. And it's just a choice.
Right. And also just that you don't, there's a thing in therapy of basically there's an assumption that you have this self, this solid self. Somewhere in there is who you really are. What if that wasn't actually true? What if there wasn't a solid self with all its neuroses? What if that was one of the lies of this reality? What if you were actually an infinite being that had all kinds of possibilities at your disposal, but you never had to solidify it into anything? You just happened to be zipped into a male or female suit this lifetime.
and you're putting on your mom clothes or your executive clothes or your
Exactly.
Whatever I love thinking about it as I'm playing at being a mother today. I'm playing at, running a business today. I'm playing at, playing volleyball today. It's because it helps take it out of the significance in how you define yourself and more into it's all just a choice.
It's all just a choice. And not only that, I was recently at a class and I was talking about my business. And Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, made the point. He said, Marilyn, if it's your business, nobody else can contribute to it. And I was like, wow. So what if it was just the business? What if there wasn't any ownership? What if it wasn't my husband, my business, my kids? What if it was just like what you were talking about, Pam? And I just love that. Well, I'm playing at being a mom today. I'm playing at, running a business today. Now, I think we're getting a little off the wall for some people, but that's all right.
That's okay. We are the Irreverent Therapists.
We are the Irreverent Therapists. And that's what we do. So I can't even really apologize it. Okay, so what else? Being the mouse that roared.
Well, to me, part of what that makes me think of is when you truly are willing to be the mouse that roared in the sense we've been talking about, where you're willing to be you and not limit yourself and, go along with everyone else, truly know what works for you, what you'd like to create. There is a huge potency in that to be able to create change in the world.
Oh, change
in your life, change in everything around you.
That's awesome, Pam, because what that reminded me of is that when most of us, there's so many people out there who really desire to make a change in the world. And, we're both social workers. Give me a break.
We're all about changing the world. We just went about it in ways that were very ineffectual.
Right. And that's sort of the point that I want to make here is that if you're trying to change the world from this reality, it's going to be fairly ineffectual. How long have some of us, how many lifetimes, Godzillion, if you don't want to look at that, just look at the years, have been trying to help the poor or trying to get peace in the world or trying to work towards whatever it is. Harmony, love, balance.
They've failed.
What? Pardon?
Oh, save the whales.
Save the whales, right. They probably weren't thinking of saving the whales 2,000 years ago, but no, we'll let it in there. But anyway, if you really look at this stuff, it doesn't work. And it doesn't work. There's something about trying to fix a system from within the system that actually never works.
Oh.
Talk.
I just want to go back to my rat maze thing. Because if you're in the rat's maze and you're trying to change it, it's basically like you're shoving something from here to there, or maybe you're putting some paint on the walls.
Right.
But it's all still the rat maze, and it doesn't truly change anything. It's when you're willing to come out of it, look, see what it really is, and go, oh, over here's something totally different we could do that's not even in the maze, where you can really create change.
Yes, and I think that's so crucial to actually showing up as the mouse that roared. You have to get out of this reality and into a different paradigm. Now, that doesn't have to be noticeable to anybody else, but a whole lot of it is, and we're talking about willing to lose. It's not just willing to lose your job or whatever your identity as a mom. It's willing to lose all of those belief systems that have kept you running with a pack of lemmings.
All the points of view.
All the points of view. Yeah, absolutely. I read the paper, which is very interesting because I haven't done that for years, but I kind of like the Santa Fe paper. But still, you have all of these, the letters to the editor, the opinions. This company did well. This company did badly. Even things like it was the anniversary of dropping the bomb on Hiroshima, and that's a big deal around here because the bomb was created in Los Alamos, where you live, Pam. So you must.
It's not my fault, no.
It's all your fault, right? But it was interesting, the intensity of the points of view on both sides. And when you have a strong point of view about it, you can't actually have any awareness of what it created or what else is possible or where we might go. It's any strong point of view you have about anything is really about trying to fix this reality from this reality. I mean, look at the insanity of politics. Do you know any country where politics actually works?
Not really.
Not really.
Well, and I want to add on to what you just said, because what you were saying is when you have a really strong fixed point of view, it's like you can't have the awareness of anything else. But what that also does is energetically, whatever it is you're opposed to or have this really strong point of view about, energetically you're contributing to continuing to have it exist.
Oh, you better say more about that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, because I brought up Save the Whales because a lot of the work I've done as an access facilitator is about changing things to do with the earth. I used to do a series of calls called Facilitating the Earth.
Which is awesome. Are they still available? I'm just wondering.
Yes. Okay. Yes, you can still get them from my website. So basically, say I have the point of view of like what's happening with strip mining is terrible. This is horrendous. It can't keep going on. We've got to fight this. Everything I'm doing to try to stop it is energetically contributing to it continuing, because you've got these polar opposites of the yes, we should do it, no, we shouldn't. When you're willing to come out of that judgment and just look at it as like, wow, what's this creating? What works here? What doesn't work here? What else is possible? And you start asking questions, you can totally change the energy of what's being created and work with people in a way that isn't continuing the loggerheads, is actually creating something different. And I'm talking about it in terms of the earth, the planet, that kind of thing. But what if the same thing is true for every area of your life? Say your spouse and you are always going at it about, who's putting the dishes away. The more you have that point of view of they should be doing it, you're continuing that conflict.
Yes.
When you come out of the rat's maze, look at it from a different perspective, ask questions, you can start to totally change that dynamic.
That's really interesting because we actually had an example of that this weekend, once again, in these classes I was doing, because we had a couple in the class, which was really, really interesting. And they were not doing they were not doing anything that any regular couple doesn't do. They were just occasionally going, well, you do that. And we had to look at how they were going to proof and discussion and reason and justification rather than going to what other questions could we ask her that would create a different possibility.
Well, and just to bring all this back to the lemmings and the mouse that roared, it's like when you are willing to, have your own reality, ask these questions, come outside the rat's maze, get out of the polarity of the point of view, that's when you are the mouse that roared. Because people, you're just being you, and you start creating huge change in everything and everyone around you.
Yes, exactly. Because if you're being you, you're a completely different energy than most people have ever experienced. And we're running out of time just a little bit here, so I want to make sure that we talk about what we're doing tomorrow. And thank you, Pam, for saying not tomorrow. Next week, not tomorrow. I got so excited. Okay. September 2nd. Have you noticed wait a minute.
Yep.
Going backwards with special guest Heather Smith. That's right, because I will not be here. Mm-hmm. Do you find yourself looping back to your past, replaying events over and over again? Have you ever felt captive to the trauma and drama of your life? What if you could come out of all of that to have a sense of ease you never knew was possible? Join Pam and post-traumatic stress disorder expert Heather P. Smith for tools to take you beyond what you have decided you cannot change. That will be an awesome show. Thank you all, and join Pam and Heather next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.